Carol Kahn, and we're coming to you live from the Sedona Rouge Hotel and Spa, who's one of our sponsors, as well as Black Magic Design and Digitech. So I'd like to thank all of our sponsors for participating and being with us. And today we are interviewing Monique with Sorry Not Sorry film. Welcome.
Thank you.
It's nice to have you here. And we were just talking briefly. This isn't your first time in Sedona.
No, Sedona is one of my favorite places in America. I actually went on a 30th birthday road trip from Los Angeles to the Grand Canyon and Flagstaff and Sedona, and it was one of the most amazing times of my life.
Awesome.
Yeah, I hiked and did some spiritual stuff at the vortexes and just kind of felt like, okay, I'm ready to enter the next decade of my life.
You know, it's so funny, people that come to Sedona, they look for specific vortexes, and I think after you are here for a while, you realize all of Sedona is a vortex.
Yeah, I've only been here like 12 hours, maybe like 16 hours so far, and it's already been like that.
You can feel the energy.
Yeah, not just the energy, but just things happening. Like I had some friends who had a film in the festival, and they left the day I got here, so we missed each other. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to know anybody. When I got here, and the first table I sat at, I was sitting next to somebody I knew by accident. Like that kind of thing,
yeah.
Where things just start happening.
Synchronicity.
Yeah.
That happens a lot. Well, tell us a little bit about your film. I did see it, but tell us a little bit about your film.
Well, what do you want to know, the plot line?
Yes.
Okay, so basically it's a dark comedy. It's about how a couple's one-upmanship escalates to ridiculous heights after a man eats his wife's plums.
It was dark.
It's also comedy.
Yeah. We do have a trailer of it, so I want to show that. It's awesome.
I've eaten the plums that were in the icebox, in which you were probably saving for breakfast. Forgive me. They were delicious. So sweet and so cold.
The music is so ominous.
Yeah. Where did you come up with the idea for this?
Okay, so the poem that you heard in voiceover in the trailer is actually a famous poem from the Americana phase of the 1930s by William Carlos Williams. And I had learned of that poem in English lit class in college at UCLA, and always, since that moment, believed it was my favorite poem. I like the brevity. I like how it says so much and so little, and I've just it's been my favorite poem since then. So not this last Christmas, but the one before, because obviously I had to take the time to write the script and make the film and do post and all that stuff. So the Christmas between 17 and 18, I was going through my college journal, and I had written the poem down on one of the pages, and next to it I had written, "This would make a great short film." And I hadn't reread my college journal since then, so it's been a while. And instantly it came to me what the film was, like the whole structure and everything, and I ended up writing the first draft in like an hour. Because I think it had always spoken to me in that way, but now I'm older, so I know a little bit more about relationships and also, about short film development, because I actually teach a short film development class at UCLA Extension. So it was sort of, at that point, I was like, oh, I know how a short film is structured, and it just came to me in a flash. Mm-hmm. So then I wrote down like the basic beats, and then I kind of did some research to find out who had the rights to the poem, which unfortunately was not yet in public domain, despite the large amount of years since it came out in 1934. But I found the publisher, and I got an option to make the film.
Very interesting. So one of the things I want to ask, because I was just talking to somebody about this morning, about just almost choreographing the whole entire storyline. How difficult is it to make sure that you actually have the video, everything that you visualize, and in some cases it may work, in some cases it may not work. So how difficult
I'm not sure what you mean. Are you asking me a question about like the directing of it? Or?
Putting it actually together. So for instance, like if you're creating a documentary, you are following a storyline, you may be following a person, so it's kind of easy to follow that storyline through.
Right.
But when you're coming up with a feature that you have to actually create the scenes for, how do you, at some point it has to work, it has to gel together.
Yeah.
So it's difficult.
Well, it's a process at every step. I mean, I wrote that script in an hour, then I sat on it and I rewrote it, and then I gave it to friends who are professionals also and got a bunch of feedback on how they thought certain things could be tweaked to work better. Then, once you have a script you're confident with, then you go and start the production process. You have to cast it right. You have to get the right people in the roles. You got to plan out all your shots, finding the right location was what actually took me the longest in the process because I needed it to be like a kitchen that was big enough to shoot in, but also had this sort of, I wanted this kind of retro 50s feeling for some reason. It was just part of the look I had in my mind. I also had made a pitch deck at this point, so I had pulled a bunch of visuals off the internet and created a pitch deck with my director's vision, what kind of shots I wanted to do, and that was all based on the tone I was going for in the script, this sort of dark comedy, exaggerated tone, and so then I had to find a kitchen that had a back door because I wanted the car to be parked in the back, and I had to have a front door, and it had to have a view from the kitchen to where the old man, the father figure, could be watching television, but the television had to be off screen because I didn't want to shoot the television. I just wanted to have the light from the television, So I had all these, and then I found this house after weeks and weeks of looking, that was in my budget, range. But also had all these hallways and rooms coming from different directions. So that was I was like, this is great, but the house was all white. So I convinced the woman who lives in the house to let me paint the kitchen more interesting colors that I thought would work well for my film. And she said yes, which was a producing miracle, as happens sometimes. But she was really cool. Anyway, so that's the whole production process. Then once you have your shots planned and the look that you want in the location, and decorating it with all the colors that I wanted for the visuals I was trying to accomplish, then the editing process was the whole process. I mean, I actually had 3 editors. One that was the main editor, and then one that just worked on it for a day, who comes from a reality TV background, and was she cut it so much I had to put pieces back in again because she was oh, you don't need this, you don't need that, you don't need anything, but her vision really added to the pacing. And then a final editor, who also brought a lot to shaping it, and got a lot of feedback on the cuts too, just on the script, where I showed it to a bunch of people and was where is it too long? And then I took it, also I'm a member of the Alliance of Women Directors, and they have this program called the Work in Progress program, which literally started right when I was ready to start showing my film. And I was on the first Work in Progress night, and so I had a room full of 25 female directors who watched it at Canon on a big screen for the first time, and were able to give those final notes, okay, you don't need this part, this scene could be cut by 30 seconds. And, this way I had asked them about the sound, I asked them about the score, they gave me some notes, and I went back and kind of made the final thing. So it's really, for me, it's really a process of knowing what I want, and then also seeing if I'm accomplishing that by showing it to people and getting a lot of feedback at every possible step.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of work that goes into it. I don't think people really understand the amount of time, effort. Just like you were saying, I'm sitting here going, it's the whole entire process that you have to go through with it.
Yeah.
Well, how can people find out about the film?
Well, it's on social media. We're on Twitter at Not Sorry Film. We're on Facebook, I believe, under Sorry Not Sorry. And, if you follow me also at Monique Sorgan everywhere. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, any of that, you're going to see a lot of posts about it as well. We have this trailer up on YouTube and Vimeo. And yeah.
Okay, and you're showing it at the film festival?
Yeah, we're showing it tonight, Thursday, at 7 p.m. in Shorts Block 3, which is the Gone Astray Shorts Block, which I love that name for a block, and I love that I'm part of the Gone Astray Block. And we're showing again 1 p.m. on Saturday, March 2nd. I get confused because February is only 28 days,
right.
So today's actually the last day of February. But yeah, so we're showing again on Saturday the 2nd at 1 p.m. and both times at the Harkins Theater 6. So it should be a really fun block.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah.
Thank you, Monique, for being with us, and thank you for bringing your film to the festival.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, welcome.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah. We will be back with more from the Sedona International Film Festival after this.